Hi. Hello, Free Spirit. Happy to see you. How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me? Can you see me? If you're watching the replay, thank you. If you're watching live or watching the replay, let me know where you're watching from. Let me just go live on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. All right. So I should be live in both places now. Let me know where you're watching from. And it must be about midday, early afternoon for you. Let me know what you had for lunch. Good morning, Cynthia. I'm happy to see you. I'm a little out of breath because I just ran up the stairs. I was scarfing some food. And in fact, I was bringing up these leftover things that my sister-in-law left when they stayed here last week, this sparkling water thing. Okay, Cynthia is here from California. Awesome. You go over to Instagram. Hey, Instagram, where are you guys watching from? Let me know in the comments. We have these little flies. They're so annoying, fruit flies, because we have so many bananas in our house. We're experimenting with various fruit fly catchers. Anyone have any suggestions about fruit flies? Kathy G, good morning. Mom of 12 here. Every time you say that, I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, Kathy. Good to see you, dear. Hi. Where are we all watching from? Okay, today, so if you're watching the replay, also let me know in the comments where you're watching from. What'd you have for lunch today? I had a stir fry kind of a thing with some rice and vegetables, and it was just made so it was warm. Yes, dear. What is that, a bird? Yeah. Do you want to show the bird? And then it's a mustache? Yeah, it was a mustache too. Come on, come show the bird. Come on. Over here. Can you put me up here? I'm going to do a puppet. No, we don't have time for that. Just put me up here. That she made a little mustache out of apples. Oh, wait, this is a bird. And then if you go like this, it's a mustache. All right, this is a video that I got to do now. So can you girls go and watch TV for a while? I'll be done in a bit. Close my door, please, Mads. Mads, close my door, please. Nope, I got to use my TV right now. You can use your TV. It should be plugged in over there. It's plugged in over there. Sorry, guys. Yes, I know. That's why I remind you. It's very helpful watching from Pennsylvania. No lunch yet today. So I'd had a stir fry ready to go. And I just went down and, hi, good morning. Okay, go potty. I cannot believe it's 11:30. My third daughter just woke up. Welcome to summer. It's chaos here. Okay. Today, let me add this in here. Instagram is being quiet today. Today, we're going to be talking about stress and hunger, or stress and cravings. It's kind of all the same thing, isn't it? And we're going to talk about how to deal with that and how to overcome that, okay? I'm going to take a second just to remind you of some of the things that are happening here in my world. We are changing brand over to be called howtostopbingeeatingforever.com. We're going to be launching the podcast. Oh my gosh, hopefully on Thursday. I know I keep saying we're going to launch it tomorrow and the next day and whatever. And then it's just that I want these first few episodes to be exactly how I imagine them. And so I'm getting a little perfectionist on those, but those are important to me because those are the episodes that everyone's going to keep coming back to when they first start the podcast, when they first find out about us. So I'm really taking my time on these ones. As time goes on, I won't take so much time on each podcast, but I just am trying to make sure that they say what I want them to say in the beginning here. So just bear with me. Anyway, launching a podcast and then the YouTube channel is going to accompany it. I'm doing some, yes, dear? You may. Mm-hmm. The YouTube videos are going to be the podcast, but with some visual stuff as well. Okay. So that's launching very, very soon, hopefully in the next day or two. And then I just wrote on the board here so you can see some of the offerings that I have going on right now. We've got our group coaching program. Sorry, I can't get it to do what I want it to do because there's a little refrigerator right there. Group coaching program and a private coaching program. I have plenty of room for private clients right now in case you're interested, and in the group program too. Group is Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then private is one 60-minute call a week. We do that for about 16 weeks. The result that we always create in coaching, yes, dear? Okay, try one more time and then I can help if you can't get it. The result that I create with coaching is the end of the crazy, right? Like creating peace about food, the end of that crazy stuff. So that's what we're creating with clients. And we also have our texting only group too. I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on in there too. That's only $19 a month, where we just text each other every day if we want and talk about what's going on for accountability and stuff like that. Okay. So that's the updates. Gracie, can you get it? No, I'm sorry. 1 second, guys. Kids, you gotta pull it out straight. Oh, you don't put it in. Take it out. That's right. Here. Okay, go please. Okay. Can you close my door when you go out, please? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for bearing with me with all the kids. Of course, Kathy understands. All right, so stressed and hungry. How to stop using food as a crutch. Let me know in the comment section lately, like in the last few days, are there any things that have come up in your life that have stressed you out that you ate about or ate to try to feel better about it or make it go away or anything like that, or anything that has come up for you, or even historically something that you remember eating about, do you have any patterns in that way? Let me know in the comment section there. We can discuss that a little bit. What are some of the things that cause you to feel stressed so that you end up eating? Yes, Nicole's here. Yay. She has 6. Lots of kids around here. Okay, so over here on Instagram, Jean says, anything that hurts my feelings of self-worth. Absolutely. That stuff that cuts real deep, right? That kind of thing, for sure. So what are the kinds of things that stress you out and cause you to eat? So here's a few reasons. So there's a lot of reasons that we end up stress eating, right? But here's a few reasons. Number 1 being our thoughts. Like Jean was saying, anything that hurts my feelings of self-worth. When you start to think that your self-worth is being challenged, that's when you feel stressed, right? So your thoughts are actually creating some of that. Or if you're believing that something that someone says or does is challenging your self-worth. This is a sort of an advanced idea, but it's not actually what that person is doing or what happened. It's the way we're thinking about that thing that happened, right? Jean, you might think of, for instance, I'm not sure specifically what you're referring to, but I'll just make up an example. If someone says something that kind of makes you feel inadequate, right? So they say something and then your feelings are hurt. So then you go to eat about it. Jean, if you can give us any additional details, like a specific example of this, that'd be helpful, but you don't have to share if you don't want to. So someone says something, it makes you feel less than, it makes you feel not as, like your worth is being challenged. So it stings, it hurts, and then you try to sort of medicate that, right? Now, what's actually happening there, I want you to just imagine 2 different Jeans, okay? One Jean is someone who allows that person to make them think they're right. Like, on the one hand, you might believe that you are not worthy, or you might believe that, yes, this person is right, what they said, and I'm bad or I'm less than. Now imagine a different Jean, or let's just imagine a different person altogether. Let's say this person's name is Rebecca. I don't know. Let's imagine Rebecca has strong self-worth that can't be, challenged by anyone because her self-worth seems to come from within, right? She has a very strong sense of herself. She's very confident, kind of a thing. Imagine those 2 people going through the same situation Rebecca, for instance, would not allow that comment to get to her. Do you know what I mean? And whereas we might look at it and get offended or feel humiliated or shamed or something like that. Now, it's the same situation that happened. It's just two different people dealing with it. See that? So the way that we respond to things in our life, now it doesn't even have to be a comment or whatever. It could just be like, the weather changed, or we got a flat tire, or a boss said something to us, or whatever. Any of these circumstances that occur in our life can throw us off and make us feel less than, or make us feel like we're bad or negative or something like that. And then the way that we respond to that feeling is what is creating that stress eating. Okay. But there's another way to look at every situation. And I'm not talking about the toxic positivity thing that we hear about a lot, which is just imagining everything is fine and we're great and we're disregarding everything. It's about truly getting in touch with our feelings and realizing that our feelings are what cause our actions with food. Another thing that we might do, if we're so stressed out too, we might want to eat just to numb, or just to kind of go unconscious, or not unconscious, subconscious, right? Just to go like disregard everything, just numb, let's not pay attention. And after we have done that for so many times over the years, we end up doing that as a default. Are these things reversible? Of course. If we learned how to do it in the first place, we can unlearn how to do it too. Okay. So going numb, and I was just talking to a client the other day about this idea of rebellion, right? Say you've decided to do a certain diet or something like that, and you do good for a little while, you have this starting motivation. And then at one point you're just like, this is too hard, whatever. Or you just start to not care so much anymore. And you start to go, as I'm saying, kind of subconscious. You stop thinking about what's going on and you stop caring. And then you start to rebel a little bit about, so-and-so can't tell me what to do. Or even, it's funny, even I can't tell me what to do, right? I'm not going to tell me what to eat. And so you're even rebelling against yourself. Who's the only one that suffers when we eat and rebel? It's ourself, right? Okay, so those are some of the reasons for stress eating. Obviously, there's lots of different things that can trigger us and make us want to eat. But ultimately, what it comes down to is our connection with ourself and how do we feel about ourselves. Okay, so reasons for stress eating. Now, how to manage that stress. So this is an interesting concept here. And I didn't put this in here. I'm going to put it in. You do not have tell me first in the comments, what is your issue with the most? Is it sugary things, carbs? Is it snack things? What do you struggle with the most when it comes to what you're eating? Is it popcorn? Is it fried foods, fast food? Is it what is it that you typically struggle with when it comes to stress eating? Or what are the foods that you tend to go to? Okay, so let me wait for some of those answers. If you guys can give me some answers on that. In the meantime, I'm going to go to Jean's response here. Thank you for responding, Jean. So a specific thing that Jean is talking about that triggers her is my mom telling me I was getting fat. But then at the dinner table, she would tell me to eat this or that, and sometimes a couple things because she didn't want to put leftovers in the fridge. Oh my gosh. That is so helpful, right? It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Either way. And so interesting for you, Jean, and this is something that would take several sessions to kind of uncover and unearth and make feel better. But when your mom was talking to you, when your mom said something like you're getting fat, that was actually her talking to herself. This is weird, but it was actually her judging a situation with her glasses on, with her lenses of what the world should look like. If we put young Jean, if we sit young Jean down in a chair, they would all have different opinions about her, and they would all say different things to her. Some mothers who also have an issue with maybe overeating might say, oh, you're doing so well. I'm so proud of you, right? I can see that you're trying. Some mothers that really harshly judge themselves are going to harshly judge the child. But you put 100 mothers in front of that young Jean, and you're going to get different answers from each of them. And what this shows us is that Jean is not fat. Those are opinions coming at Jean, right? Now, the issue is that, right, her revealing her insecurities. Absolutely. That's what it was. It was her insecurity about weight. So if we have all these other mothers looking at you and having different opinions, what that means is that Jean is fat is not a fact. It's a complete fabrication of your mother's mind. Fat is a completely subjective word. You ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different opinions. So there's no actual truth to that statement. And what actually matters there is that, can we put up, and I don't mean like armor, like we want to disregard everything and have a shell and not have any feelings. I mean, can we, it's kind of like putting earplugs in to that kind of stuff, right? Like, she can say it, but we don't have to take it on. We don't have to be triggered by that, right? Now, we might be triggered because we don't really have these skills of emotional management when we're young, and no one teaches us how to do this stuff. But if we can learn as we grow up, as we're adults and into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right? As we keep learning this, it's like, oh, it was never me that was the problem. That was the way mom thought. And the reason mom thought that way is probably because of her mom and what her mom used to say to her, right? So it's just a repetitive thought pattern that isn't rooted in truth at all. And so what we would want to do now in our 40s, 50s, 60s, when we're looking back at that kind of stuff and we see that we're either saying that kind of stuff to ourselves in our head, or we're taking on the comments of other people and letting that trigger us. What we want to do is learn how to overcome that negative feeling. What's the word I'm looking for? Spiral, right? Like that, just allowing that to make us feel negative. That's how you actually fix the foundation of the issue. Because guess what? We do not have a problem with sugar. Okay, yep. So Nicole, 100% beef hot dog with a white bun. Oh my gosh, Nicole, we are the same person. When I was in my 20s, I used to eat hot dogs every single day. I was obsessed. Kathy says sugary snacks, 100%. I don't care or struggle with cheesy or salty things. Okay, Jen is sweets here for sure. I totally get it. Okay, so these particular foods, now what I want to say, the sentence I mean to say is that we do not have an issue with those foods. Those foods are not the problem. I can't tell you how many times people come on to calls with me and say, oh, well, I'm a sugar addict, or, you know, I crave sugar too much, or it's the salty snacks that always get me, or whatever. It's never those that are the problem. Okay, the snacks are never the problem. The food is never the problem. Hold on, let me make it a little more obvious. The food is never the problem or the cause, right? The cause is in here. The cause is internal. It's our thoughts and our feelings about that food. So we'll put the issue is the way we deal with our thoughts and feelings. Yes, dear. With what, sweetheart? Can I see it? Maybe it has something to do with that. Sorry, guys, one sec. Will it still play? Will it still play or no?
I just paused.
Okay, I fixed it. I don't know what I did, but it's fixed. Good luck. Okay, so the food. Okay, well, just leave it for now and I'll try to help soon, okay? Okay, so the food is never the problem. It's not the hot dogs that are the problem, which is weird, right? Because we think it's the candy. It's not the candy that's the problem. It's not those brownies that you love so much that are the problem. It's not that you are a food addict that is the problem, right? Being a food addict is not the problem. That there being something wrong with you is not the problem. The only issue here, so and I don't even want to say issue. I just want to say cause. Oops, that was too big. Erased everything. The cause, and I want to actually change the color of this too. The cause of this behavior is the way we deal with our thoughts and feelings. Okay, so exactly what I was saying with Jean. So Jean says, I understand it was that now, but how to break the cycle because now I am fat. Okay, interesting. And she said, and Jean also said, yes, Dad said she treated me like her parents treated her. Absolutely. So what we're seeing here is that this pattern is what we call that generational trauma, right? That's a big word, but big term, but what it just means is that it's just something that was passed on, and it created I don't want to say trauma like a big trauma. It's like one of these little traumas, right? It's like something that we grow up with and we just internalize and we keep taking with us. So you say, I understand that now, but how do I break the cycle? So the way that we break the cycle, I'll give you a little bit of information about this so you can see. We talk about this a lot, but the idea is that your thoughts, well, I don't really want red, but your thoughts are creating your feelings. So for instance, if you're thinking to yourself, like what, Jean, if you can tell me, what is the judgment about being fat? Like, what do you think about your body size right now? You had said something earlier. Let me see if you, and you say it's not so much of what you eat, but it's the overeating. Okay. And you said anything that hurts my feelings of self-worth. Okay. So that's one of the things. So we want to kind of look at it like there's, how could I do this visually? Like inside of, so we'll take Jean here. We'll take inside of Jean. We've got this very beautiful woman. Right? We don't need the body. That doesn't matter. We're just talking about her brain right here, her thoughts. Now, her thoughts, let's do another page. Let's take her thoughts. I'm going to just take Jean's brain. We'll pretend that this is Jean's brain. Okay. Now, Jean's brain has a bunch of thoughts always running around it, right? Lots and lots of thoughts. For instance, so you say anything that hurts my feelings of self-worth. So a thought that hurts your feelings of self-worth would be something like, I'm fat now, I can't control it, or whatever that thought is that you have about yourself. I can't stop overeating. I'm not good at this. It's always going to be this way. I'm doomed, whatever. I don't know what those thoughts are that you have. But each one of those that I just said is one of these thoughts that contributes to. So if we say our thoughts are creating our feelings, those thoughts are actually contributing to the way you're feeling. So when you said, even this thought, I'm fat. Oops. I'm fat. I'm fat now. Right? Even this thought, there's some type of a judgment after that. And I don't know what it is. Like, okay, so I can't do the things I used to do because I'm obese and very unhealthy. I'm disabled. Okay. So that's not necessarily a judgment though. Those are more factual. Obese would be a fact. Very unhealthy, not necessarily a fact, but it would be something like this is bad. I can't stop. What's wrong with me? Why can't I fix this? Do you have any thoughts like that, Jean? Because usually what happens, so I'll just give you one of the thoughts that I used to have when I was younger and in the binge eating cycle was if I had some oatmeal in the fridge, for instance, and it was already made, a thought that I would have automatic programmed because I thought it for many years would be, I can't not eat that, right? Like if I see it, I'm going to eat it. So I'll just use that for an example, unless I get one from Jean here. If I see it, I'll eat it, and I'll eat the whole thing. I was just talking to a potential client yesterday, and her thought was, if it's open, I won't eat it. But if it's open, if it's not open, I won't eat it. But if it's open, I'll eat the whole thing. Interesting, right? Not all of us have that type of self-control even. Like, it doesn't matter if it's open or not, right? But for her, it was, if it's open, I'll eat it. Right? Interesting. And then Jean says, so I can't help where I used to, and it makes me feel useless. Okay, so I can't help where I used to. I'm useless. So even this thought here, I can't help where I used to, I'm useless. That's not a nice thought to ourselves, right? When we think that thought, if we say our thoughts create our feelings, then it ends up making us feel useless, might be the actual feeling there, right? So if the thought is, I'm useless, that wasn't right. The feeling would be useless, negative, right? Low self-worth. Actually, something interesting is coming up for me. I wonder if it's something like I'm worth less now that I weigh more. Something like that. That's what I'm kind of picking up. I'm worth less now that I weigh more. Does that ring true at all for you, Jean? Does that feel like, so you say, I'm working on that. I can't to make it. I can. I've had to cut out many things. Oh yes, like pudding or mac and cheese. If it's in the house, it's gone. Okay. So I have to find something I can do. So I wonder if this is like something that you resonate with, like I'm worth less now that I weigh more. Because that thought itself, like when you're talking about self-worth, what happens here, what comes from feelings, now this is the root cause we're talking about here. So we're talking about the root cause of our overeating is never the food, and it's never the outside circumstance. Okay, so it's not the food and it's not the circumstance, like what mom says or the stressful thing that happened at work or whatever. It's never the food, it's never the circumstance. The cause is always the way that we deal with our thoughts or feelings. So we could say that if our thoughts create our feelings, and then what we say is our feelings create our actions. Now we're talking about, okay, it resonates for you, good. So we're talking about, for instance, you said pudding or mac and cheese. And guys, Jean is over on Instagram here. This is where I'm getting these comments, but these comments don't come into StreamYard. So I'm just responding to her as we're on Instagram. So she says, pudding or mac and cheese. A thought you have is, if it's in the house, it's gone, right? If it's there, I'm going to eat it. Now, when we have thoughts like that, if it's in the house, it's gone. That's one of the thoughts down here that you have, right? If it's in the house, it's gone. I can't not eat it. I can't not eat the whole thing. Now, let's just look at what that pattern would be. If we're saying that's our thought, Jean, what is the feeling when you think to yourself, if it's in the house, it's gone? How do you feel when you think that sentence, which is something like, I don't have control around food, or if I see this certain thing, I'm not going to be able to resist it. What is a feeling that comes up for you? Is it something like powerless, overwhelmed? What's that like?
One with my TV. I was trying to press Disney, but I can't.
Oh. Okay, you can take my phone for now, okay? Because I can't fix it right now. No, I can't fix it right now because I'm on the call.
Oh, but I can take it.
You want to watch Bluey? What do you want to watch?
I want to watch.
Come on, pick one.
I want to pick the Mighty Paw Patrol that has purple jewels.
Okay, I'm just going to try this one. One of those, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one that I was talking about.
Okay, awesome. Go pick it and close the door, okay? Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, so if it's in the house, it's gone. I'm going to fill this out for you a little bit. So we said that if it's in the house, it's gone. And when we think that thought to ourselves, that actually creates a feeling of like powerlessness, right? We are powerless to those foods. If those foods are around, I'm going to be eating them. So let's say, now we're looking at this model. If our thoughts create our feelings, that means this thought is creating, this thought here is creating this feeling. If it's in the house, it's gone. So I feel powerless around those foods. And then if our feelings create our actions, what are our actions going to be? To eat the food and eat all of it. Okay. Yes, right. So Jean says powerless because I like these foods. They taste good and I'm all about flavor in my food. Now I don't purchase them, but save them for when I eat out. Exactly, right? But I want to imagine a moment where if you had them at your house, right? If there was pudding at your house, it was made, it was in your fridge. We don't purchase them because we're afraid of being around them. But could we imagine a time in space at some point where we could actually have those foods in the house and we would not feel powerless against them? What I want to explain is that powerless is not a fact, which is what we usually think it is. Powerless is not a fact about who we are or how we manage our urges. Like, I'm just powerless to those particular foods. We think it's a fact because we've done that pattern for so long. So we think it's true that if there's pudding in the house, we are going to eat it. We think there's no way around that. But it is in fact, here's where it gets really crazy. Okay, so I'm going to actually take this sentence. If it's in the house, it's gone. I'm going to try to fit it down here. Okay, so here's your thought here. If it's in the house, it's gone. When you think this thought, Jean, sorry, I'm trying to make it so. When you think this thought, that actually makes you feel powerless about yourself. But what's interesting is that it's not the pudding that's making you feel powerless. It's the way you're thinking about yourself, that you have no control, right? No willpower, exactly. No willpower around this particular food. Now, here's where it gets really cool, because it is actually our thought about the pudding that's making us feel powerless. It's not the pudding that's making us feel powerless. Pudding actually has no power, right? It's an inert object. It just sits there. It doesn't have a voice. It doesn't have anything. It just sits in the fridge. We're the one giving it power with our thoughts. You know what I mean? So if we had that pudding in the fridge and we thought to ourselves, oh, I can't resist that kind of thing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to eat it. I'm totally going to eat it. And if I start eating, I'm going to eat the whole thing. That's going to make us feel powerless. And then we are going to end up eating the whole thing. That action is going to make it look like we're powerless, when the powerlessness came from thinking that that food had power. Okay. So now you ask the question, how do we change this? We can't just, most people are going to think that what it is just, oh, just think I have good self-control, right? just think I'm good around stuff like this. That's the opposite thought. It's like, oh, well, if it's in the house, it's, it's gone. That thought is, if it's in the house, it's gone. The opposite of that would be, oh, well, it can be in the house and it's no problem. You can't just switch to that thought. It's why affirmations don't work. You can't just switch to thinking you suddenly have power around pudding, right? What we need to do instead is find out why this one isn't true. If it's in the house, it's gone. Okay. Now, in the recent history with macaroni and cheese and pudding, you might not have a lot of instances where these things were in your house and you actually, avoided them, kind of a thing. But there may be some. So what we would do in a session is we would start looking at what are some moments where you have been around those foods and you did have some control, whether it was just for a couple hours after you made it and then you had some control, or
Can I have can I have three bagels with just jelly?
Well, I'll make it for you in just a few minutes, okay? Is that okay with you? Because I need to finish this call, and once I'm finished, then I'll make you some breakfast. How about you can get a banana for now, okay? Go get a banana, and then I'll make you some food in a minute.
Mommy,
Sí, amor.
I don't think I can get it. I don't think I can get a banana.
I think there's one right on the counter. And if you can't get one, you can ask Isa to help you, okay? Thank you. Can you close my door, please? Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask someone so I can just.
Salma's not here. It's just me. Go get a banana.
So someone was just.
She was here while you were sleeping, and then she left before you got up. I got to do the call. Love you. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you can close the door. Thanks, babe. So, this is the actual way to change this. The actual way. So, what the reason that I gave you this, this kind of illustration here is that the way that we actually change this is by looking at our thoughts about this thing and systematically working on those particular thoughts. And what I mean when I say working on is figuring out how this isn't true. Oh, this is real interesting. So Jean says, yeah, LOL, at an all-you-can-eat buffet, they have pudding. I couldn't care less if I eat it or not now, unless I want a sweet. Exactly. So this is so interesting, because what this means is that pudding is not addictive in the way that we think it is. It's not, because if it was, you would be going to that all-you-can-eat buffet every day, and you'd be having it at every meal, right? You would be selling your grandmother to get that pudding. You would have plans to go to that buffet every single day. These foods are not addictive in the way we think they are. So if that pudding was in your fridge, for instance, so now what we're doing is we're going, okay, is this true? Which is a technique that we learned from Byron Katie's work, right? Ask the question, is that thought true? When we first started saying it, if it's in the house, it's gone. It seems like it's true because we've done it so many times. But the only reason we've done it so many times is because that thought makes us feel powerless, and powerless makes us eat. Okay. It's not true because we know if we go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, you can totally not have pudding. It's not that big of a deal. You don't mind. So then our sentence could change to, this is a silly thought, because when I go to buffets, I totally have power around pudding. It's no big deal. So then we could think to ourselves, I don't really like to eat pudding because I don't want the sugar, and it makes me want more and more and more, and I don't want it. That thought is so much more empowering than this one. And when we start believing those new things for ourselves, we start to actually have more power. You say that I don't eat many sweets because sugar is addictive, but I've learned to cut sugar from my diet. So right in there is interesting. I've learned to cut sugar from my diet. What happened there was you said to yourself, the sentence changed from if it's in my house, it's gone, to something like, I don't want to eat sugar because I don't like the way it makes me feel, or I don't like the way it, gets my thoughts going. There's a difference between thinking that sugar is addictive and so we stay away from it, versus I don't like the way it makes me feel, and so I'm not going to buy it. Like, I don't want it. I'm not, like, that's not something I'm interested in. I'll give you an example. When you go to those DoubleTree hotels and they have those chocolate chip cookies, the freshly baked chocolate chip cookies right on the counter, right? So I was staying there one time years back, and I remember the whole plate was on the counter and my brain went into overdrive. It was like, how many can I get without them seeing? Can I take some now? Can I come back later, get some more? And my brain went like crazy. So then I was like, I noticed it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I don't like to eat sugar. This is why I don't like to eat these kinds of cookies, these, salt, sugar, fat bombs. I don't like to eat those because I don't like the way my brain starts to go a little crazy. So I definitely just don't want them because I don't want to start it. It's not worth it. That's very different than I'm powerless around this food and I can't possibly stay away from it, right? Or um, that's right. So you say also, I don't like how overeating makes me feel. So one plate is plenty. Okay, this is making my point perfectly. So, for instance, one of the thoughts you have now, and maybe it's similar to the one I had about the cookies, is like, I don't like the way I feel when I overeat. I don't like the way I feel when I have the pudding or whatever. I don't like how it puts my brain into overdrive. You see that that's a very powerful sentence versus, I can't resist those things, right? I can't resist it. That's a different sentence. That's going to make you eat it all. But the one that's like, I'm choosing not to have it because I don't like the way it makes me feel. That's power right there. Okay. You say, oh my God, cookies, I want to, but try to settle for one. Yeah. And this is another reason why we might cut those foods out. We don't have to. It's not necessary. But even for a little while, we might cut them out because we want to just calm our brain down a little bit and show ourselves that we have some control over that. One of the things I love to offer for folks, like just something to do, is potentially bring pudding into the house, right? And work on that food. Do that on purpose. And so, what we're doing over time here is we work on each of these thoughts to kind of figure out if it's true or not. And what happens over time is, Jean, you started out here with a thought about anything that hurts my feelings of self-worth. And here we've taken, half an hour or so and just pulled that apart, ripped it apart a little bit, and made it feel differently, right? Because of the way we think of it now. The way we think about mom and what mom used to say, the way we think about how we internalize these things and how that's related to the way that we eat, and the way that we think about how we eat now and what could we think differently, kind of a thing. Um, the process here is working on enough of these to the point where we become fully in control. And there is a moment where it flips, right? There's a moment where it flips and you realize you actually are in control. So if we ever feel any kind of out of controlness, we know we have something to work on in there. Nicole and the hot dogs, right? Or Kathy and the sugary snacks, Jen and the sweets. There's some things that we could work on that will actually make a huge difference if we can, what I say is sort of desensitize ourselves to these foods. The more foods like that we work on, the more thoughts that we work on. So we'll just wrap up here with how to actually manage that stress. Now, we've talked a lot about this already, but the first step that we have to do is become conscious and aware. So become conscious and aware of what's going on in the moments where we're overeating, and also our response to these moments, right? The feelings, the thoughts, the actions. So become conscious of all that, become conscious of our patterns. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do. We don't want to become, we don't want to be like we have been for years, which is just unaware and not caring and like, la, 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 I'm not going to listen, right? We don't want that, because that means we're not going to make any progress there. First thing we want to do is become aware. And we do that by, I don't know, joining a group or joining a texting group or getting coached or joining a program of people who are learning to become more aware. This is the first step of what we do in my program anyway. Then I was using this little term here. What I want you to do is go to the university of you. What do I mean by this? I mean, and I put university there because it's not the easiest thing in the world. It takes some time. This is the university of you here. Is taking your brain, opening it up, finding what's holding you back and fixing it. And it's a methodical, one by one kind of thing. We work on the self-worth stuff. We work on the hot dog thing. We work on the candy thing. We work on the pudding. We work on the macaroni and cheese. We work on all that stuff. And by the time we've finished that work, we are completely powerful instead of powerless. We're creating power is what we're creating. And when we feel powerful and confident, see, when we say our thoughts our feelings create our actions. If these were our feelings, we would make much better choices all the time. We would get better at not overeating. We would get better at eating when we were hungry and stopping when we've had enough. We'd get better at dealing with various foods that feel like triggers, and we would turn them not into triggers anymore. And after we've done this work enough, there's this moment of, oh my gosh, we got it. Like, we're done. We don't have to do this anymore. Food is no longer our issue. And that's when the peace settles in. That's when the calm settles in. And that's a very different feeling than feeling completely powerless to food. Okay, so we go to this University of You. How do we do this? We want to learn who we are. We want to learn what our patterns are. Oops, that was the erase. We want to learn what our patterns are. We want to learn what our thoughts are, what our trigger foods are. We want to learn to overcome that stuff. And once we've done that, it's done. We have that bachelor's degree. We're good. We don't need to freak out about food anymore. Whether we go to a restaurant, whether we go to a vacation, whether we this, whether we that, it's no longer something that scares us anymore. And the way that we do that is very systematic in my coaching. And that's what takes the 16 weeks for people, is to kind of go through all that University of You stuff. And I then become the guide. The professor shows you exactly what to do and what to tweak and how to tweak it and how to do it faster. And so you can get this thing done in 16 weeks rather than struggling with it for the next 30 years, right? And trying another diet and failing and wondering what's wrong with you and cementing those patterns of I'm an overeater and I'm a stress eater and I don't have good self-worth and all that kind of stuff. Instead, we're actually making these massive differences. You're welcome. So you say, yeah, I changed. Bye, Jean. We'll see you later. She says, I changed that I can't to I can. And you do that by realizing there's a problem. That's right. And admitting it and then wanting to change it. And after that, we work on what choices we have to make that change. And this is the way to change it, right? Is by working on all these thoughts, working on all the patterns that we have. Okay. And then this is what I call the click. Once you've gone through the University of You, once you've gone through all those various things and found out what your patterns are and worked on those and really made some amazing headway, it clicks into place, right? People are always saying to me, I know what to do intellectually, but I can't seem to do it in the moment. I can't seem to just like do it all the time. And that's what I'm talking about. We create is that click. I keep using the wrong one. I'm sorry, guys. We create that click and we make it so that it just clicks into place. You know what to do. You've practiced it enough. It's within you now. And that is what I'm saying is the root cause of our issues. It's not the sugar that's the problem. It's not the pudding that's the problem. It's not the job loss or the diagnosis that's the problem. It's the way we're thinking and feeling about the problem, right? So that's how we actually get over stress eating. We got to work from the inside. If we just do various things like, these Band-Aids, like trying to use an app to count your calories or trying to, check in with an accountability buddy or put, Weight Watchers points, going to meetings, whatever. If we're just trying to use those Band-Aids, we're not actually getting to the root cause of why we overeat. And the root cause is that we're trying to cover up stress. We're trying to rebel against something. And these are all just patterns that can be undone. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions? That's all I got for today. So we can talk about some successes that are going on right now. The private clients that I'm working with, this is a slowly but surely kind of a thing. After that 16 weeks, you go, oh my gosh, I'm actually empowered. And this empowerment that we're talking about is permanent. It doesn't go away because you can't unlearn what you're learning here because you're learning about yourself. You're not just like learning some, book work or something. You're actually learning about yourself and you can't unlearn that stuff. As you get through these issues, it becomes so much easier over time. And then I'm also working on this in the texting group, as I said. There's some folks in there who we chat every day. It's just like, getting my phone. My daughter has my phone, but I got my phone and I just text with people all day long so you can get real-time help and talk to me about issues or thoughts or whatever. And we can chat about this stuff real time. So if y'all are interested in that, we've got, that's right, Nicole, one day at a time, one bite at a time as we stay present and think through it all. And what's so nice about becoming present and becoming aware is that the more you practice it, the more that becomes your habit and your pattern. Because a lot of the times people think, oh, it's so much work. I just want to go on, subconscious. I want to just like eat whatever I want and not have to think about it. It's too much work. But what's nice about this is that the more we practice being aware, the more that becomes our automatic. Does that make sense? Like you end up like being aware becomes your default. So that's fun. Okay. So if y'all, let's see, is there a way that you can join now? You could join the texting group. I wonder if I have you have a link for that somewhere. But the thing is, I'm changing everything right now, so I'm changing the website over and all that kind of stuff. So maybe now's not the best time to join, but you could email me, let's say, if you wanted to. Here's my email address, or my current email address. It will be changing once we get the binge eating stuff going up and going. But you can email here, Sherry@nourishyourlifestyle.com, if you're interested in learning more about how you might join us in one of our various programs. You could either get on a call with me, or you could join the texting group or whatever. I'm going to be launching a new platform really soon. Once the podcast goes live. I was just saying you could join it now, but it's not really active. Within a week or two, we're going to have all that stuff going. So feel free to email me if you want any additional support, Sherry@nourishyourlifestyle.com, and I can direct you somewhere that will get you going. And other than that, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this live video, and I hope you have a really wonderful Tuesday. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm trying to do this week each week at this time ish. So keep your eye on your email inbox, and we'll make sure to let you know when I'm going live. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next live. Bye.